Mark Carney did a great thing for us today and came out and announced absolutely nothing of substance yet again. Is it elbows up, or should we be putting something else in the air? It's up to you to decide when you're done listening to this piece. So first and foremost, tariff fun. Apparently Mark Carney had a conversation with Donald Trump yesterday about tariffs and the upcoming free trade agreement renegotiation. And he decided to come out today and say no more reciprocal tariffs. There will be no reciprocal tariffs on anything that is covered by CUSMA. Under the World Trade Organization rules, I'm pretty sure that he wasn't allowed to have tariffs on things covered by CUSMA, just as Trump was not allowed to have tariffs on things covered by CUSMA. So there's that. Yay, no reciprocal tariffs, but we're being strong. We're being strong. So let's get into what word salad we got out of our Prime Minister today. First and foremost, we should be incredibly grateful as a society that we live in Canada, because the tariff rate applied against Canada is only 5.6% versus 16% average across the world. We should be very grateful for that. Sure, it's 35% on steel. Sure, it's even more on aluminum and softwood lumber, but we should be very grateful that our very capable politicians got us down to 5.6% because 87% of our exports are underneath CUSMA, and so if Trump put tariffs on them, he'd be breaking World Trade Organization rules. That's the first and foremost. Let's be grateful. Remember, you lost a job because of tariffs. You should be grateful. It could be worse. Absolute ridiculousness. A reporter at one point at the question part asked, I think it was CTV, she asked Mark Carney why, if we're doing same for same, if under CUSMA covered tariffs, why are we not doing same for same where we're having additional tariffs to hurt the American steel, aluminum, lumber, and everything else industries? And Carney had no good answer. He referred back to Mackenzie Gray Global's unfair question about what about elbows up. If you can go back and watch it, it was quite a thing, because you can see how he speaks to friendly questions, and then Mackenzie Gray with Global asked a fantastic question, which was, how is this elbows up when you're saying we're going to be giving into their defense industry, we're going to be giving into that, we're going to be giving into that, we got rid of this tax because Trump said so, we got rid of this because Trump said so, how is that elbows up? And the Prime Minister was rather testy with him at his first question and didn't even let him finish his follow-up question. He cut him off because he was being misinterpreted. I don't know how else we're supposed to interpret this. So throughout this, Carney went on to say that, and sorry, I took some notes, so I'm just reading them here. Carney went on to say how the U.S. is the biggest and most dynamic trading partner and market in the world, and an economy to strive to be like. He then went on 3 minutes later and said that he plans to build the strongest economy in the G7. Okay. Which is it? Is America the best and the best economy? Or are we going to build the best economy? There's also going to be new consultations for how to do the trade deals and what industries are important to Canadians. So McKinsey is just printing money. Like, at this point, let's just let them into the Bank of Canada and say, have at the printer. You know, we may as well have a $100 coin just for McKinsey, because what is the point of going on if we don't have consultations? And Wouldn't you think that the government would have done consultations going into, I think this is the third time, August 1st was the third time that Trump threatened tariffs on us? Wouldn't we already know what industries are important to Canadians and Canadian jobs? I digress. Also, something that was really, really interesting to me, and possibly the most interesting part, was we are going to build housing. We are going to build housing and a housing industry like we never have before. We are going to double housing builds. Who? Who exactly is doing that? Are we paying developers to do that for us? Or is the government going to be doing this with taxpayer dollars and then doing what with the houses? The entire speech boils down to one thing and one thing only. The Canadian government and the Liberal government plan is for the Liberals to be supporting Canadians in a completely circular economy where taxpayers support Canadians who pay tax dollars to support Canadians at every level, whether that be buying Canadian steel and infrastructure projects to housing, and we still have yet to see who is going to reap the rewards and own all of this housing we've been hearing about since the election. Last but not least, he made it sound like he was really, really, really sure that CUSMA is going to get redone. We're going to get another kick the can next year. We're going to get another free trade deal done. If that were the case, why has he spent the summer going around to mills and plants and this and that, announcing retraining funding for people? The timing of all of this, it doesn't jive. So yes, he had a conversation with Trump yesterday. If he were going to make these announcements, why didn't he do it ahead of the April 1st deadline when 35% on non-CUSMA items came into effect? That's what hit the steel industry and has people worried. So why didn't he have this phone call before? He says he's negotiating directly with Donald Trump. So why wasn't this done in advance of August 1st? In fact, why wasn't this done months ago when Donald Trump brought it up? These aren't moves of a confident person to me. It sounds like Pierre Poilievre won his seat, and now, as we head into the fall session sooner rather than later, Carney's a little worried about what might happen. In fact, I'm starting to wonder what we're going to hear about over the weekend, what news stories are going to slip out, and that sort of thing. Because this was so odd, and the timing of it just doesn't make sense. So if he were worried about cutting Poilievre off at the knees, he just gave him more fuel by saying he is directly negotiating with Donald Trump. Timing is a big thing there. Why today? Why today? Either something is coming, or the American administration is about to give a big ask that Carney is trying to butter them up to say no to. Because he gave Poilievre talking points this weekend, handed them to him. Doesn't quite make sense. None of it adds up. Because if Canadian jobs and Canadian pocketbook issues actually mattered to him, we never would have had reciprocal tariffs. And if he was actually the one dealing directly with Donald Trump on this, he would have kowtowed and given him everything he asked for months ago. No reason to let these tariffs go in for 3 weeks. I'm sort of torn on this. Reciprocal tariffs do not help Canadians. At the same time, How do you go out there and say elbows up for months and then do nothing other than say that taxpayer dollars will keep the economy afloat somehow? That's all. Let's see what happens over the weekend and into this afternoon, because Fridays at 5 are always interesting times. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And for now, maybe orange juice will get cheaper. Have a great weekend.